welcome, one and all, to Season 2, Episode 2 of Arcane. Oftentimes, I find myself wanting to take a short break between recording episodes of a show because I want to take time to process, digest, and sometimes even just re-watch an episode before moving on to the next one. That's not happening here. I am jumping straight into Episode 2 after having finished Episode 1. I might take a break before watching Episode 3, but right now I am jumping right into this, and a big part of why is because by the end of Episode 1, I had a realization. We didn't get to see my favorite character. Jinx was not in the last episode. We saw her in flashback, so in brief little moments. When Caitlyn was doing her little visualizations at the pretty little park or whatever it was, we saw her recollection of Jinx. We saw things like that a few times, but the actual character of Jinx was not present in episode 1. And don't get me wrong, I liked episode 1, but that particular fact left me a bit disappointed. So I am wanting to get straight into episode 2. Hopefully she makes an appearance this time, but if I'm being honest, I don't think she is. I feel like they are going to be saving her for episode 3. Arcane, if season 2 is going to be anything like season 1, it's going to be divided into three episode acts, and I feel like they are probably going to be saving Jinx for some kind of climactic something for the conclusion of Act 1 of Season 2. But anyways, let's go ahead and get into this episode. Remember to like the video, leave a thumbs up, comment as well down below with anything and whatever you enjoyed about this reaction, this episode, what have you. Subscribe if you're not already, if you want to see more videos like this, whether it be Arcane or other stuff that I'm reacting to on the channel. And yeah, let's go ahead and get into things. I don't know what it was, but I had a much easier time recording this intro than I did last video's intro. So yeah, anyways, just wanted to say that. Let's get into this episode. If you're watching the full watch-along version, then you're going to need a countdown. So, starting episode 2, season 2 of Arcane, 3, 2, 1, go. I am kind of annoyed that I keep, both this video and the last one, I keep saying episode number before season number. That's really annoying me because it's a really dumb thing to do, but whatever. But anyways, we're into it. Oh, maybe I was wrong. Let's go. Jinx? Jinx! Yeah, someone. She sounds so calm in this scene too, which I think is just so very fitting for the emotion of the scene. God, it really does suck that Silco's dead, man. He was such a fantastic character. Oh, that's probably fine. Okay. As we're going through the intro here, actually, I can make a quick point, something that I maybe should have mentioned in my outro for last episode, but I was kind of on the fence about how much I wanted to talk for last episode's outro. Um, During the kind of siege almost on the ceremony that happened, that was the kind of the big thing that happened last episode. Um, there are probably some people who maybe thought that there like wasn't that much tension because like, oh, characters like Caitlyn and Vi and Jace, like they're not actually gonna die, right? Because they are, they're actual characters in League of Legends. Uh, I want to say though, I am not taking anybody's life or continued presence in the series for granted. Especially because like basically one of the only things I know about this season is that it's the final season. So all bets are off in my book. Huh? Flashback? What's going on? Um. Ah, okay. Basically showing us who's left, I guess. Ah, or maybe that's not the point. Maybe they just want to show us like, oh yeah, big power vacuum right now. There's no clear leader now. These are certainly some factions. Oof. Uh, okay. Well, be interesting to see how this goes. Oh, quick. She seems so out of it. Okay, so yeah, there's wanted posters up. I noticed in the background before they. Yeah, no. Oh, I thought she was gonna shoot him again, frankly. Yeah. Not feeling immediately impressed by this guy. Gonna say that much. Me. What is happening? Ha! Oh, hey, Savika. Okay, so Savika's trying to step into. Eh, Huh? She has no leverage. She's just trying to stand in for Silco, basically. Doing her best to talk like him, take the positions that he did, seemingly. And she can't even get a replacement arm. Ugh. Yeah, it doesn't look like it's going too well. You're one to talk. You don't even try. Come on. You know that's not gonna work. Well, now this is gonna be an interesting potential alliance. Oh, okay, or not. You at least fix up her armor a little bit before leaving. Oh, this is not gonna go how you think it's gonna go. Oh, this little one's still following. Okay, and we're back topside. Wasn't expecting that. Well, I don't know if checking in on Victor's really counts as going back topside, but he's up. I think it might still be working on you. Maybe wait? Nope. Never mind. Just okay. It's fine. Yeah, that tracks. Cane that Jace was clinging to when we saw him last episode. Oh, don't tell me you can't still need that thing. Ah! Oh, good response. This is a nice response from Jace. That could have gone real south real quick. Uh-oh. He is he's warped a little, I think. Yeah, I was wondering if he was going to be upset. What's up with his voice? Going to? You haven't been voting. I thought you already did. How do you make it right from this point? Wow. Well, not exactly what I think I or Jace was expecting. uh, New one. Pretty sure that they're still struggling to figure their shit out, bud. I don't think you've got to necessarily worry about a new Silco, so to speak, yet. Oh, that's what is that? First, I saw pretty colors. I thought it was something from I thought it was something that from Jenks. Is he sneaking into... I know he's not a counselor anymore, but does he really need to be sneaking in like this? I feel like he's probably still well respected enough that he could just like, yeah. I was just like, whatever, man. He's he's just having fun. Oh my word. Okay. And where are we exactly? And what are we doing here? Yeah. Oh yeah, you two haven't met yet. For what? Has he? Oh yeah. I was wondering how long it would take Heimer to notice this. Rude. Oh boy, these sure are. These are the slums of the slums. Damn. What? What do y'all think you're doing? Hi, Timo. What exactly is she working on now? Uh-oh. Oh, wait. Are they actually getting the drop on her? Oh, this thing's moving like a creature. What the hell? This is, wait, this is Hex Tech, not Chem Tech. This is the strike squad? Okay, not what I was expecting. Is nobody gonna hear her coughing? Y'all need to raise your perception. Although I guess maybe it's hard to hear through those masks and their own heavy breathing from the masks. Recognize those? She can't do it. Wait, those things can see through all this, and you're telling me none of y'all bothered to look up? Terrible strike squad. People don't look up. They just don't. What what is she carrying? What was she working on before they came here? That certainly got their attention. Bro, so many people are seeing things. It's not just Jinx anymore. So many people are seeing things and hearing things. What? Oh, okay. No! Ow! Oh, this isn't great. Could really use some of that shimmer speed kicking in right now. I don't like you. Let's see it. Oh, this is gonna be interesting. Oh, okay, it's Savika. Okay. Oh, what is that? Oh, okay. She did work on an arm for her. There's the shimmer speed. That explodes. Smile. Didn't blink, didn't flinch. Small child? Please kill this guy. I don't want him to continue to be present in this season. What a ridiculous contraption. Whoo! This dude's name is Smeech. Now I really want him gone. Whoo! We don't even get to see what the. Just a little showy. I mean, you had the chance and you couldn't do it though. I mean, nah, she's still conflicted, clearly, in a way. I have a feeling this is not gonna work out for you, buddy. All right, Victor. Let's see what this new body can do. Is he gonna? Can he heal them? Can he cure the? What's afflicting them? I think he is. Oh, he heals them through basically he heals them by basically just replacing their current ailment with hex core similar to his, right? Oh no. No, he just straight up got rid of it. Oh, is it the same? It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell if that's just like really cool looking scarring or if there is hex core mixed in with that now, mixed in with that person's body now. Also, I do recognize the character, I just don't know his name, so that's why I didn't call attention to it. This is really fitting. He wanted to help people all along, right? Like that was what his goal was with his science was to help people. And now he can take people who are like truly suffering and heal them. Very fitting for him. He can remove all the senseless pain. Hold up. I'm expecting, yeah. I was expecting another look at Singed here. What is he up to? Well, that's probably nothing. Okay. Okay, so we did end up seeing Jinx and spending time with Jinx in this episode, which is cool. Obviously, I said at the beginning of this video that I wanted to see her, but I wasn't necessarily expecting to see her, so it was nice to see her and check in with what she's been up to and what she's currently doing. But overall, checking in with the underside, more generally speaking, definitely felt a little meh. Just because like these other chem barons that we have are just like they aren't anybody, right? They're just like these are nobody characters that we're being introduced to for the first time. Like it's not Silco, it's not even like I don't even remember that dude's name, but it's not even the like the pretty boy type with the metal jaw that died uh towards the end of season 1. And so yeah, we're being introduced to these new chem barons and they're just like in my opinion very nothing characters. Like they have some interesting designs and some interesting, from what little we saw, some potentially, I guess I should say, interesting personalities and goals for what they're trying to do. But also, they're obviously, again, they're not Silco, and it's not even like with the counselors topside, who it's like, you know, even though we weren't even though we didn't spend a lot of time focusing on all of them in season 1, like there's still people we were familiar with. And so seeing these guys here now in this episode, I wasn't immediately drawn to any of them. And the one guy in particular, what was the name? Smeech? Something like that. Uh Again, I was hoping he was gonna die soon, and so the fact that he's gone now, no complaints from me. I'm all in on that. I'm here for it. Uh, and so in that sense, I guess I'm okay with being introduced to these characters if they are only going to be playing some sort of minor role in the sense of like being stepping stones for other characters that we do know, and or being used as like plot devices. I'm generally not a fan of characters being used as plot devices, but Smeech was basically introduced in order to be used to show the audience a facilitated team up between Jinx and Savika, right? Does that make sense? Did I phrase that in a way that sounds that made sense? um, because again, like when we saw them together in Silco's office, I was like, oh, are these two going to, form some sort of alliance? And then it seemed like they weren't actually going to do that. But then by the end of this episode, it seems like they probably are. And I'm all here. And again, that's something else that I actually am very much here for. I think that that is potentially very interesting, just because again, these were two characters who in season one never got along. They were always kind of at odds with each other, but through losing Silco, they're now able to kind of recognize how they're in somewhat similar positions and could stand to gain from working together, and are able to just kind of like seemingly bury the hatchet in a sense, and just kind of get over their previous grievances, which is just really interesting for a number of reasons. So yeah, that'll be nice to see. And yeah, there was like, I don't know. I'm curious if anybody else feels this way. I feel like these first two episodes kind of felt slow. Obviously, it's the first two episodes of the season, and they need to like set things up and establish, where people are at and like what they're doing, and like, show us the characters experiencing what things have changed in this period, and in order to put things in a better state for further exploration of like what the kind of meat of the story is going to be. But I do feel like we've gotten a lot of like little bits of things, and it does just sort of feel sort of slow. Again, it's not necessarily inherently bad that things are playing out this way, but it is sort of leaving me kind of almost anxious in a sense, because when I think about Arcane, when I think about season one, there's like all these things that happened that I really, loved about the show, that made me, just super excited about seeing more of it in season two. And I'm sure that a lot of people are coming into this season like, oh, there's no way it's going to live up to season one. It's going to fall off. The question is just like how much. But I'm not necessarily like automatically making that assumption. Again, people just always assume that like sequels are going to be worse than the original piece of media, but I try to avoid those sorts of just like unnecessary assumptions, I think. And going into now season two, again, looking at how we have started things off, I'm not necessarily like disappointed or like already like, oh wow, they really, again, I'm not like automatically jumping to these conclusions of like, wow, they really dropped the ball. This is so much worse than season one. Um, but it does definitely feel different, I think. And I will be very curious, I think, to see. Again, I mentioned it last episode, how assuming this is going to follow the same kind of formula as season one, where we've got three acts of three different episodes, and I'm very curious to see what our finale to Act One is going to look like, because at the moment, I'm really not sure. I feel like in season one, you could definitely, after watching like episodes one and two, you could see kind of what they were building up to in episode three. I feel like after watching episodes four and five, same thing, you could kind of see what they were building to with episode six, and same thing, seven, eight, nine. That's not saying that you knew what exactly was going to happen in those act finales, but I feel like you could reasonably kind of see the progression of like where we were going. At present, I don't feel like I have a strong idea of what I am going to be going into once I get to episode three. And that's not necessarily a good or bad thing because, for one, it's not necessarily a bad thing just because like I like being surprised by media. If it makes sense in the context of the world and with the storytelling and characters and whatnot, I'm not someone who likes to be able to see things coming, frankly. There are a number of people, I think that who like do sort of like things to be predictable, even if they don't necessarily, even if they're not going to outright say that they like for things to be predictable. I think there are people who like when things are sort of expected and like when they can see things coming. And, I mean, just think about like other reactors. There are a lot of reactors who they like to say like, oh, I think this, and this are going to happen. And they just like throw out a bunch of nonsense like constantly. And then when something does happen that's like similar to one of the things that they said, they can be like, oh yeah, I called it. I totally saw that coming. I knew that was going to happen. 100% expected. And like, that's not something that I tend to be interested in. So in that sense, it's good, but or it's not bad rather. But on the other hand, but on the flip side of things, the fact that I don't really know what I should be expecting going into episode 3 also makes me kind of question again just comparing like the sort of the storytelling formulas, so to speak, from season 1 to or yeah, from season 2 to season 1. It does just kind of make me wonder like what is it about this different direction that is making it a bit more like this, where I am unsure of exactly what we're doing and where we're going and like what the focus is and what we're going to be being like what we're going to experience. So yeah, I hope that that makes sense. And again, this isn't necessarily me trying to, I'm not trying to foretell the downfall of Arcane season 2 here, but I am just sort of curious if other people have any sort of similar feelings, and if they do have similar feelings about the kind of thing that I'm describing, if they view it as good, bad, or indifferent. So yeah. But then to talk a little bit about some of these things that are actually happening in the show, I guess. One thing that I think I can call attention to is, as much as I may not care for these new chem barons that we've been introduced to, as I just talked about, I do think it is that nice to see this sort of reflection of the chem barons not being aligned in their interests, in the same way that in episode 1 we saw the counselors not being aligned in what they wanted to do to deal with the underside, right? We saw that the counselors of Piltover in episode 1 were divided in how they wanted to deal with Zahn outright, and then once they came to a consensus, I'm going to put air quotes because 2 to 1 is, not exactly a big sample size, not exactly a large group to be getting a consensus from, but they were not only divided in how to deal with things outright, but then they were also a bit divided in the extent to which they wanted to then pursue the solution that they decided to attempt, right? And so to now see on the flip side of things in the underground, in Zahn, with the Chem Barons being the closest thing that we have to leaders at the moment, seeing that they are also like fighting with each other, seeing that they're divided on like how they want to split up split up land holdings, split up ownership of like money making gimmicks like the Shimmer, and how they're not even on of the same mind of like, should we even be bothering to deal with the topsiders? Should we be taking the fight to them? Should we be letting them come to us? Does it matter one way or the other? And so that's just like a continuation of what I talked about to an extent during the post-episode thoughts of episode 1, where I was, explaining, where I was getting into how all these different motivations and aims were, I think, sensible and justified for the characters. And so, even though, again, obviously we don't know these characters, so we can't drill too deep into what makes them tick. Just the fact that we do have these conflicting opinions and ideas is something that I think is interesting to see. And then I guess also, just speaking of solutions that the Piltover Council were pursuing in episode 1, we do get to see here in episode 2 that Caitlyn's strike squad, strike force, whatever she called it, they are in fact like active. Like they did get some sort of approval seemingly to go into the underground and to seek out Jinx, and so we see them doing that, and it was there are some things that I think are interesting perspective wise, in the sense of not like character perspectives in the way that I've often been using that word in the past couple of videos, but in the sense of perspective of the viewer and what we are being allowed to see as like the audience watching this story. I think that it's curious that, you know, we saw the focus being on Caitlyn and, you know, her strike squad and the Piltover side of things in episode one. But then when we see that strike squad in action for the first time here in episode two, we see it from Jinx's perspective. We were following Jinx. We were watching things from Jinx's side of things, and that was the first time that we saw them. And it's kind of similar to how when the Chem Barons, or the one Chem Baron, I don't remember the woman's name, but the woman whose son died and who had the chainsaws, the Chemtech chainsaws in episode one, the way that that attack happened in episode one without us seeing any of the planning for that. So again, I think that these things that I'm talking about here, they sort of play into what I was talking about previously, which is that like the storytelling is just like the way that the storytelling in this season is just a bit different, and how it is showing us like a lot of different things in like sometimes small pieces. And I'm just curious how we are going to start bringing some of these things together, I suppose, is the big takeaway from these different things that I'm talking about. And yeah, I just want to reiterate really quickly that like it's not that I am disliking necessarily any of these little bits of pieces of different character stories that we are being shown. It's just that it does feel like it's kind of a lot, right? Like it's not, for instance, it's not that I am disliking what we're seeing with Victor, but it's also like how is what's going on with Victor related to anything else that's happening? And it's not that I am, and again, it's not that I'm necessarily disappointed to be seeing these things, because I assume, based on just how well done season one of Arcane was, I assume that a lot of these different things are going to come back and converge at some point, right? It's but in the kind of interim, so to speak, as we are getting to the point of like all of these things starting to actually connect with each other, it's just that the pacing for the time being does feel rather slow, which is just not really what I was expecting coming into season two of Arcane. I was expecting us to kind of hit the ground running more or less, and for things to just feel relatively quick right from the get-go. But apart from like certain action sequences, more or less, it has felt somewhat slow. I think that the last point I'm going to make for this video is something that I actually should have said for the last video, and I was hoping for something to happen in this episode that would help me like tie things together in a way that would allow me to naturally talk about it and like segue from something from this episode to last. But I don't really feel like I got anything like that, but I'm just going to talk about it anyways here. Something that I liked from last episode was specifically the when we were exploring Caitlyn's character at certain moments throughout the episode, we got to see very specifically how these very emotional and very, you know, heavy impact moments, like her mother dying, like the attack on the memorial, how these acts of extremism, more or less, do drive people sometimes into, frankly speaking, bigoted ways of thinking. Like Caitlyn says that she can let. I think the initial one of the initial conversations was something about how like Caitlyn says she can understand why people think about the undersiders like all the same way and why they view them so negatively. And then later on, she, you know, after the attack on the memorial, she was talking about how like they're all animals. And yeah, I think it was just something that was interesting to see, like how people get pushed into these sorts of mindsets, because Caitlyn was obviously very much not someone in season one, especially like as she got to know Vi better and their relationship developed. She was very much not somebody who was part of this sort of us versus them mentality. But we saw in episode 1 how that kind of how people get pushed to that kind of thinking, right? So that was just something that was interesting to see in episode 1. And yeah, I think that I just wanted to make that point somewhere. So there it is. But that is going to be it. Oh my god, my throat messed up there, so I had to redo that section. Remember to like the video if you enjoyed watching this. Give me that thumbs up. It is very helpful for small channels like mine to be boosted in the algorithm. So, you know, these things like watch time, these things like likes, these things like comments on videos, all these different things do assist in the metrics and analytics that to tell the YouTube algorithm, hey, maybe people should be watching this video. We should show it to more people. So do all of those things to help with engagement if you do enjoy this video and would like to see me continue doing them. And to that end, if you want to see other things that I am doing, you can check out other stuff on this channel, depending on which of the 2 channels you are watching it. To that end, I have 2 different channels. I have a regular reaction channel as well as a watch-along reaction channel, where you can watch different kinds of content depending on your interests. So check out, if you are already on one, check out the other videos on that one you are on, and potentially check out the other if you are possibly interested in the other kind of content that that channel offers as well. But with all that being said, thank you so much for watching, and until I see you in the next one, take care. Bye-bye.